Hello friends, today we're going to look at DuBu playing Undying, position 5 here. Found this game on Dota 2 Pro Tracker. Undying is a hero that's doing, he's alright, he's at like a 51% win rate or something. But I don't play a lot of Undying, so instead of trying to like play Undying badly and talk, I thought let's just watch DuBu play. Now the hard part about watching pros is that sometimes you can't tell if they're just trying something new or memeing around. So for example, he built a meteor hammer very quickly. Now looking at his draft, I can theorize that, okay, I can kind of see why he might get a meteor hammer legitimately, but maybe he's just goofing around with it. So that's the downside of watching pro replays, because we don't know exactly what they're thinking. But I am curious why he got it, and so that's what I want to look into. To watch this replay, see why he did that, but also to learn a bit how to play Undying myself. Because usually I only recommend playing a couple heroes at a time, but I don't want to like make 50 million Jakiro videos for you guys back to back to back. So let's, instead of me trying to continuously play new heroes that I'm not that great at, I think we'll do more of these where we like take a look at pros playing heroes. That'll make it easier on me, so I'm not trying to like do multiple things at once. Oh, we're gonna switch to his perspective, see what he gets. So he just shared tangos with mid, starting with a stick. Interesting. Doesn't actually want the south. We'll speed this part up a bit. So what did he end up getting? So we got 3 mangoes. So he got 4 tangos, a stick, 3 mangoes, and an observer. And the magic stick is interesting to me. It looks like he's against Axe and probably Earthshaker. So I'm curious about the stick, because if you've watched my videos, I usually think that starting stick is not great. Let's see how much value he gets out of this. The mangoes make sense to me. As an Undying, you want to spam your spells. That's kind of how you play the lane. Now he starts with the ward, but he's already been spotted, so I'll be curious to see if he places it early, or like if he places it at all, or if he just holds it out. Looks like he wants Tranquils eventually, but he's chosen not to get the Ring of Regen, so he's valuing the move speed. This is pretty much what I do when I watch pro replays. He's playing very aggressively. Feels like he can't die, I guess. Maybe he's also playing over here because his carry went to steal the rune, so he wants to be in a spot where he can support that. Playing right on the line. Alright, so that was pretty good for him. So he is going to use the ward. Now, that's it. I'm going to point out, he used it as he was walking away. So they don't know if he put it right there at that cliff, or if he placed it further down here, and after he like got back here. So if they're checking his items, they're going to know that he placed the ward, but not necessarily where. So he was trying to help with the ranged, but missed it. That's something I've been bad about lately. I haven't been prioritizing the range creep enough. The DuBu does a really good job from what I've seen of him. Playing really aggressively, even though he's at half health. But half health is still quite a lot of health for an Undying. He's got 3 magic stick charges. Maybe that's not so bad against Axe. Maybe he also thinks there's nothing else he would buy besides a magic stick. Looks like he plays kind of aggressively to bait people to come into him so that he can land a double decay. Might set up a kill here. No? Might die now, actually. Gets a deny to get Battle Hunger off of him. So this is why I think... So first of all, stick is a weird item, but also on Undying in particular, it's weird to me because... In one of my videos, maybe several, I said against Undying, stick actually isn't so bad because you lose a lot of strength. And when you're down to like 400 health and then you stick for, like even if it's just 100 health, like relatively, that's a fourth of your health you just healed. And then you gain your strength back and it scales up. Undying's kind of the reverse. Because he's Undying, he's the one stealing your strength. His health pool is larger, so when he heals like 100, it's actually now like 960 health. That's like a ninth of his health pool, and then when he loses that strength, he like loses the health he gained. So that's why I'm really curious that he started with a magic stick. But he's just spamming out Q decay a lot, playing really aggressively up here, even though he's so low. Maybe it's because he got level 2. Or maybe... Oh, he also has a ton of strength. That's true. Let us watch that again. I can't believe that worked. So let's take stock here. As he's playing aggressively, he's sitting at 20 decay, which is a lot of damage for him. Axe is down to 500 health total and only 44 damage because he's lost 12 strength. And Earthshaker has lost 8 strength, so he's at 46 health and 480. So DuBu has more health than both of these heroes combined, even though his actual current health is still pretty low, though. But he does have like twice the attack damage because he's stolen so much strength, and these are both melee strength heroes. This is where Undying really shines. So as he goes for this kill, I want to keep that in mind. So he just hit level 2. He gets Soul Rip. Decays, hits him, Soul Rips, auto attack. Interesting. So see, that's the kind of thing where if I played Undying, I would not have known to play this aggressively. Because I would feel very uncomfortable with the hero. I don't play him a lot. And so I wouldn't know how much damage I can do with like my Decay plus Soul Rip, all of that. So this is why I usually recommend only playing a couple heroes at a time. Because you see a lot more... Like, you know how to push your hero. And if you watch the last co-op game I played... like where I was looking for that Treant, like right up here actually, and I was like, if Treant leaves these trees, I will blink in and Q earn him, and it will break his passive before he can get back to the trees, and he's a slow melee hero. Like, I'll just kite him until I kill him, and that's pretty much what happened, because I play a lot of Treant, and I know his weaknesses. But there's the reverse of that, as well as like knowing how strong you are. And I definitely wouldn't be able to push my limits with Undying. So this is when like watching pros is really good. Or, you know, anyone better than you who plays a hero a lot. Like, like this terrifies me. If I was an Undying, like I'm out here with 100 health, you know? Like, why not just get fissured and killed right here? Like, how's he alive? It's crazy. It looks like he will die here for this. He stole a lot of strength from Axe, though. Yeah, Axe has lost 12. He's not doing too well in terms of health. Now, see, these guys got sticks because they're against the Undying. It makes sense to me. Really curious. Maybe Magic Stick to start is not as bad as I feel it is. But as always, who knows? Maybe he was testing this. I don't watch that many DuBu games, so I don't know if he usually starts stick, or like what the cases are. Axe does spam Battle Hunger, so maybe that's why he felt it was good. Chooses to get boots straight up instead of anything else. I'm glad DuBu queued stuff up so we can see what he was thinking. He knew he wanted boots and Windlace. And it looks like he's getting plenty of mana regen. See if he's going to heal his Spectre here. Or if he's just going to go for the like aggressive play. Always looking for 2 strength steals. I guess that's obvious, but we see it in play here. Goes 1-2-0 at level 3. This is pretty common from what I've seen. To actually level up Soul Rip. It used to be that you get like Tombstone, but I think it's not as good anymore. Or people are starting to realize Soul Rip is better. Maybe there are some other changes. Like I said, I don't play that much Undying, so I'm not super clear. He's actually not pulling that much, and I think that makes sense. As an Undying, you're meant to play really aggressively, and against 2 strength heroes, I think it makes a lot of sense. That pulling is like being passive and avoiding fights, whereas Undying wants to fight. Plus, if he left this Spectre alone, I don't think she'd be able to do much. Speed up a little bit. 1.5 speed. Will we? I usually just like watching the game. Focuses it on Axe. He had a choice to decay either Axe or Earthshaker and chose Axe. Now Axe is the offlaner. They don't want the creeps to go under. I agree. He's tanking it because he has all the extra health. This leaves the lane at a safe spot. Let's see what he does now. He wants to make sure they're not pulling, so he walks out here. This is why they kept the lane there, because he wants the lane to come back here. But if they had pulled successfully, then that would have messed it up. Walk through there to lose the creeps. Got battle hunger, but he's just letting it go on him. Getting in position for the runes. Ooh. Oh! Nice. Straight through tower. Doesn't care too much. He's a pretty tanky guy. Alright, so as soon as he saw that Earthshaker had turned around, he leaves the rune for the mid. I'm going to assume mid's got a bottle. Yep. And now they're going to go for the kill. Ooh, misses the Q, but it's okay. They get the kill anyways. So he's getting raindrops. Raindrops are pretty good against Lina. He chose raindrops instead of windlace. So let's think about why. One, this hero has a heal. So technically, as long as he has mana, he'll be okay. Like, he can heal himself up. And we've seen him play really aggressively with only like 100 health. So clearly he doesn't feel like, you know, I have to stay full health as Undying. It seems like he's okay playing really low. So the mana makes sense to me. And Earthshaker has a hard time breaking it. The only way he really breaks charges is with his Q. And that's a pretty uncommon spell to use, so that's fine. Battle Hunger does 24 damage per second. But yeah, so the infused raindrops only procs when there's 50 or more damage. So Battle Hunger, even at max level, will not actually proc raindrops. Lina can break a lot of raindrop charges. She does kind of spam out spells, but it's pretty worth it, right? Because you'll get the full block from raindrops. You'll block a full 120 damage. And against Lina, that's pretty good. AM's not really going to break it, maybe with this. And I don't... Yeah, Impetus is pure, so I don't think it counts. I'm not actually 100% sure. But they don't have that many great ways to block raindrops, or to destroy raindrops. Compare that to like Queen of Pain or Zeus, who Queen of Pain Qs you once and breaks a ton of your raindrop charges. And Zeus spams out spells, same deal. So I think raindrops is pretty good. And it also offers survivability from Lina. Still focusing all the decay on Axe. I'm going to guess that's because he's the offlaner, and because when he's taking damage from the creeps, it's now a little more worth it. Or like, it's more annoying for Axe to lose that. So like, if he took 50 damage from creeps, and he had his like 700 health usually, like 50 out of 700, whatever. But if he gets decayed down and he's at like 500 health, and then loses that 50 health, you know, that is a bigger portion of his health pool. And then when he does get his strength back, that also comes into play. So maybe that's why he's prioritizing Axe. DuBu also going for the half pull. Let it be known, pros do this. What was his timing, actually? I want to see when he did it. So he hits it at 17 and then waits, walks out like that. Okay. Why did he do a half pull here? I've already talked about why I think it's good, but let's see, like, what might he be thinking? I think he knows Axe is here, and so Axe would have to either contest the Spectre or come over here. This camp can kill off 2 creeps on their own, and I think pulling a full wave against Axe is scary because Axe can just run into the tower. Those are my guesses as to why he is half pulling. Again, whenever you're watching pros, all we can do is take our best guess at why they're doing something. So never take like what a pro is doing as a hard rule, because they could just be totally joking around and be like, I know this is really bad, but I'm going to do it anyways. So never like watch one pro game and then base your entire decision off of that. You have to watch several back to back, usually. Like we can watch one game and then just make some general rules off of it. But we're not going to say like, Oh, DuBu always starts stick. I don't know. Maybe we have to watch more DuBu games and then we'll see. And if you guys like watching pro games like this, where I talk about it, then let me know. Keeping up the heal on him. So he gets Tombstone at level 4. He's going to use it here as they go to play aggressively. Axe knows he's dead, so he's like playing in the creeps to make sure he like spins the most. Get some extra damage out of it. What is DuBu going to build next? So DuBu TP's mid, Void TP'd top, and it's going to take Void Spirit a little while to get back mid. And there's a full creep wave here that Lina was hitting the tower, and these creeps would have just died for nothing. But now DuBu gets some XP, gets a bit of damage in, or protects the tower from damage and gets some like golden last hits for himself. Hasn't purchased anything, or maybe I missed it. He's waiting here to see if the rune spawns. Doesn't feel like he needs to be anywhere right now. Looks like he's saying he's going to go top soon. Okay, illusion rune. I was looking at the minimap when I said that, by the way. He drew on the map. Okay, let's speed up here. Nothing really happening right now. Looks like he's picking through some items right now. A bracer. Bracer's kind of interesting to me. Ooh. A conservative tombstone. Let's think about where he's placing tombstones, actually. I always think that's interesting. Places it in front of him, so he doesn't have to spend any time turning around. This also discourages them from diving, so that, you know, if they dive under him and he runs in here, they get stuck by zombies this whole time, and the zombies will be affected him here. Whereas if he had, like, turned around and cast Tombstone here, but then they dive, then, like, when they're in here, they're not going to get hit by zombies. But now that they back away, this is, like, the reverse of that, is that this is defensive, and now that they run away, it's not going to really affect them once they get out to, like, about here. But he has people rotating in, so maybe he just needs it to survive and knows that, like, we're going to get these kills even if this isn't an aggressive tombstone. That could be why. Prioritizing Axe, he's the more important target. Hiding his courier to not lose it pointlessly. They know they're not going to kill him, so they're not all chasing. Let's think about why he got a bracer, though. HP regen seems okay. It's a lot of strength. I mean, not a lot, but 5 strength, 3 damage, some other stats. I'm pretty surprised by a bracer. It doesn't seem necessary on Undying. But I suppose if you're buying cheap items, like, bracer's not too bad. Maybe the HP regen's not so bad either. You don't want to get that low on the heroes you play. That's a classic. Lina just comes and kills your carry. Interesting. Let's see. So he does a pull. So this is why I thought it was interesting, is that Axe is about to farm all of this. I wonder if that was a mistake or an intentional choice. So what if he hadn't pulled right here? If he hadn't pulled, instead of these creeps going here, they'd be walking right around here, here, and then meet here. So the lane would be here. I think Spectre can farm safely here. Though she did just get killed by Lina, so Lina could still be in the top area. But let's say it's just Axe and Earthshaker versus Spectre and Undying. I feel like Spectre could have farmed here. So it's interesting that he pulled it, and what this is going to result in Axe getting more farm than he should have. But now Spectre's going to farm under the lane. I'm not sure. Personally, I feel like that was unnecessary. Let me watch one more time. Sorry, what was he looking at right before he pulled? So he watches his Spectre die, sees that the lane is pushing, and chooses to pull. So actually, if Axe hadn't come out and cleared this wave, then perhaps this pull would have been better. Because it did look like it did look like you had 5 creeps right here, and they were about to walk in her tower. And if that had happened, then the lane would have ended up here. And in that case, I can understand why he pulled. But actually, because Axe killed all of those creeps, and I think he saw Axe come in, I feel like once you see that happening, you no longer need to do this pull because it's going to meet over here. So I'm not sure. Let's go back to his perspective, though. He at least steals some XP. He told Spectre to bring that, and it doesn't seem like it happened, so now he's got to bring it over himself. Playing aggressively here and telling Spectre to go get the rune. Instead of running over himself, he's playing really aggressively, and they don't want to run past him. It's level 6 at 10 minutes, doesn't even need the tome. Rubik is able to buy it. What level is Rubik? Rubik's doing pretty well too, but overall, they were able to get some kills, and they are in a level XP advantage. So Spectre is 1 level above Axe. Undying is 1 level above Earthshaker. He didn't pull that much, but they were able to get a couple kills, and he did sap some like stacked camp stuff. So interesting. I think this makes sense so far. He's not pulling as much as like I do, but I don't play someone as aggressive as Undying usually. So I think, you know, if I were to play Undying, I would tend to play the same way as my other heroes, where I would probably play Undying more passively and doing a lot of pulls. But what I'm learning from this is that I'm definitely not supposed to. And I know I'm not supposed to. Like, I know Undying's an aggressive hero, but still, your own playstyle kind of tends to override how certain heroes are supposed to be played. And at least for me, I think it helps to watch someone else do it and know, like, this is how it's supposed to be done. Alright, actually, I'm not sure why he came mid. I wasn't paying enough attention. I was talking about whatever I was talking about. Let's go back. Okay, he's dead. He's looking around a bit. Buying some Warden Sentries. So he respawns. Sees this going on and TP's mid. Okay. Wants to play aggressive. You end up with 4 heroes here. Pretty close. Always uses Decay before he uses Soul Rip. I'm going to point that out. That's something I've noticed. And again, this makes sense. It has to do with the effective health, where, let's say, Soul Rip would do 200 damage. Doing 200 damage when they're at 1,000 health, you know, that's a fifth of their health. But if you steal some strength first, bring it down, and then you do 200 damage, like, it's not this massive change, but it is like 20 more damage effectively. And he is making use of that. He's always using Decay before he uses his other, well, really it's just Soul Rip. They fortify here to keep this tower. I think this is why they're doing it. They're fortifying to keep the tower hitting this creep. And as long as this creep can't die, this tower will continue to hit this creep. I believe that's how that works. And I think that helps Void get out a little more safely because they are quite deep right now. So if the tower became free to hit other things, then Void would be in danger. It also keeps this catapult alive a little longer. You gotta heal your Spectre. Body block and Axe. This is what we talked about, where you can, you know, he doesn't want Axe to get in range of Spectre to do a call or to ult the Spectre. So he's body blocking, trying to get double decays. Wasting Axe's time. I don't think he really cares about this. Like, if he dies for this, whatever. He's gonna heal himself. He has Tombstone here in a second. Where does he place it? He places it really aggressively because they have several people on their team here, and I think they know they want to fight. And so he wants to place it aggressively so that if they stay to deal with the Tombstone, his team's going to catch up. And if they try to run away, they have to spend a bit of time in the Tombstone. It's also on the high ground, so Axe... Like, if it was on the low ground, Enchantress could hit it, and Axe could hit it. But because it's on the high ground, Enchantress can still hit it, but Axe needs to take a bit of time to run to it. He's dead anyways. All right, comes mid to steal some XP. I'm kind of surprised his mid's not here doing this. But because no one's here, I think you don't want that to go to waste, so he can do it. Kind of the same deal top, though. I wonder if someone wants to go there. But it looks like he's pinging the mid tower. It looks like he wants this. Some stuff's going on over here. Looks like he really wants this tower, though. What's going on bottom? Spectre's down here farming freely. So usually I've talked about how you want to come get this bottom tower with your playmakers, but Spectre is able to do it on her own, so then you all don't need to go there. Everyone doesn't need to go here if Spectre can do it on her own. I just repeated what I said twice. But then the next objective is usually mid, and so I think that's why he's here, and that's why other people are coming here, because it's like, we don't need to help Spectre. They're not there. We want Spectre to be alone generally so that Spectre can haunt into a fight. And then Timbersaw, the guy on their team who probably cannot die unless they rotate 2 to 3 people at least, and Lina has to be one of those people to be able to get this kill. He comes up here to defend the most dangerous part on their own. And so then the rest of the playmakers, Undying and Void, can play very aggressively. Rubik can as well. They're mid. That makes sense to me. Slow down a little bit. Comes to get this ward. Running top. I'm surprised he's not running to his tower, actually. Maybe he's trying to pull him out of position, though. Okay, let's think about this tombstone placement. It is close to Axe, but it also hits everyone. So it helps deal with Axe, who looks like he's going to die with Timbersaw here. But these guys, if they choose to chase in, they're running closer to Tombstone. And unless you plan to actually kill Tombstone right away, that tends to be a bad thing to do for them. So I think this Tombstone helps to deter these guys from coming in and helps to secure the kill on Axe. Turns around, knows Axe is dead. Comes stand next to Earthshaker. Chasing her. Okay. Ayam's dead. Ooh, a nice steal from Rubik. Sees her turn around. That usually means, like, if you see her turn around, she's got to be doing something. And she didn't Dragon Slave right away, and that means it has to be Light Strike Array. So DuBu sidesteps that. He doesn't want both of them to get stunned, because then she might get away. So you see him. We can replay that if you didn't see that. So let's speed up again here. Okay, so if she stuns both of them here, she then walks this way, TP's out or something. And so DuBu, slow down. See, he clicks down to get out of the way of the stun, dodges it, now comes back to her. She might have died anyways, but that's just, dodge the stuns. Why not? Leaves the sentry there. It's kind of interesting. Maybe he wants to ward first. Let's see if he leaves it there the whole time. Seems like he is. I'm kind of surprised by that, because they definitely know. He took out their ward here, so they should know. And yeah, they don't have high ground vision, but if they bring a courier over, they'll have it here. I guess it feels bad to put another sentry here when one's right here. But I don't know. And she even just places a full-on ward. She should see the sentries there. I don't know. I feel like taking this sentry would have forced her to at least place another sentry. And she doesn't even have one, which means his sentry would survive here longer. So I don't know. I'm perplexed at why he chose to leave that sentry there. Maybe he was hoping they wouldn't notice he took their ward. All right, chooses to commit Tombstone. Now against one guy, it's kind of like, well, why? But Axe kind of dictates where they can fight. If Axe is dead, he's their frontliner. So if he's dead, the enemy team can't really fight. And they are diving, so they're in between the tier 1 and tier 2, which means if the enemy team all wants to TP in, like they can, and this is kind of a precarious position. And so I think this tombstone probably deters people from coming in. It's like, okay, they already committed a lot of spells. Let's just let Axe die, and I don't think we can take this fight. Steals the kill. So, see, he's already started to get his... In fact, I missed when he queued it up. So I want to back up real quick to see when that began. So, when does it happen? As he's farming mid. So at 12 minutes, he's identified that he wants a Meteor Hammer. Let's think about why. So 1, the regen is very nice on Undying. We've already mentioned, like, Undying really only needs mana because he can eventually just heal himself. So the Void Stone is very nice for mana. And frankly, maybe he won't have to spam heals on himself if he has some HP regen as well. So there's that. He got a Crown, which is just some extra stats. And then you end up with a Meteor Hammer, which it's hard for DuBu as an Undying to land a Meteor Hammer. He doesn't have a combo for it, but it does give him some wave clear, which his hero lacks a lot. And it also gives his hero a stun, but a very unreliable one. And it's kind of hard to land it against an AM, Alina who can stun you first when she sees you channeling. This guy can fissure you from afar. She's really fast. She could just walk out. He could call you. So it's probably not meant to be used aggressively on his own. He might combo it with, like, he sees this guy Yule someone or Aether someone, or maybe he sees a lift. I would think that perhaps he has it for tower damage, because if you look at their heroes, Timbersaw does not have good tower damage. Void Spirit kills heroes, but doesn't actually really take towers that well. It's kind of like Storm Spirit, where he has a lot of damage from his spells. Actually, it's all the Spirit Brothers, really. Ember Spirit and Earth Spirit's not really a mid, but he falls under this too, where they do a lot of damage and kill people, but then their actual damage to towers is not that great. Even if Ember Spirit goes for, like, a physical right-click build and even has a Desolator, like, that's not bad against towers. But he's not a hero that builds attack speed because of the way he works, which means he himself is not the best at taking towers. So 2 of their cores are bad at it. And in fact, if we look at Spectre, Spectre's also really bad at taking towers. So 3 cores that are bad at taking towers. Rubik as a support, not good at taking towers. Undying, not good at taking towers, isn't even good at pushing the lane. So a Meteor Hammer as his team's way of pushing and taking objectives is pretty interesting, actually. Maybe it's not that bad on Undying. Now, I did look at the Dota buffs, so it doesn't seem like everyone's building Meteor Hammers on Undying. And I think if he had a core that was good at taking towers, like, I would say, like, why build this Meteor Hammer? But think about what else he could build. Does he need a Glimmer Cape this game? It's not bad against Lina, against some of the magic damage from this guy, against, just general survivability. His team does not have an invis form, so adding some kind of invisibility is, like, good, but it doesn't have a Necrophos in it, so it's not, like, required, in my opinion. So it's an option. Force Staff, kind of okay to get away from some of this, but it won't really help you chase down or get away from an AM who can blink. Yeah, you can sort of dodge some Yule stuff. It's kind of scary against Enchantress, who might use her Q on you, or Impetus, whatever button it's on now, and then you, like, Force Staff yourself away and take a ton of damage. So I don't think that's worth, like, that concern is not enough to make me not get a Force Staff, but there's nothing that screams I need a Force Staff this game. What else? An E-Blade, or I'm sorry, a Ghost Scepter. Yeah, a first item E-Blade. You heard it here first. Ghost Scepter, not that great because Lina will just burst you down with the increased magic damage. It does help you get away from AM, but it's not like a mandatory item. And I mean, those are kind of the core ones, right? You don't really get Yules on Undying. It won't help you kill any of these heroes. An Atos, in AM at this level, this AM is like what, rank 100, 200 something? Like, he's not going to get hit by an Atos. Aghanims is kind of memey for a first item pick on an Undying 5. You should just like never do that. Necronomicon, not really needed this game, and not really a 5 position item. Solar Crest, I do see Undying's buy, but you have a bunch of heroes who aren't pure physical. You could go team fight items. I think that is your alternative. But Timbersaw does not mind buying things like Pipe, Greaves, the team fight items, essentially. So you don't have to buy it. Urn. You don't need Urn against their team. Spirit Vessel, I mean. And so, like, his typical support items and then, like, some of the other ones, like, just aren't necessary. And so I think he can choose to go for the slightly greedier Meteor Hammer. Sorry, we spent a lot of time thinking about it. But that's probably the most interesting thing that'll come from this replay analysis. Like, Meteor Hammer on Undying. It's cool. Let's get back to Undying's perspective. And speed up, because we saw all this. Yep. So yeah, I think Meteor Hammer could be interesting. Definitely don't make it a hard rule. Like, oh, first item, Meteor Hammer on Undying. Totally makes sense. Not really. But it does seem like there could be options to do it. I totally forgot Undying can heal his Tombstone until he just did it right there. If I played Undying, I would not have remembered to do that at all. Buys the Voidstone first. Again, you just need mana. So that makes sense to me. Has a smoke in his backpack ready for use. Let's see what's happening. Slow down a bit. So they see that they're about to go on Rubik here. Tombstone still on cooldown. But they use Q. Gets the double steal. Is a soul rip. Doesn't need to commit ult. I probably would have ulted there just thinking like, oh, we see 2 heroes, let me ult. But wasn't necessary. Gonna decay. Oh, interesting. I did not realize there were so many heroes here. Did they see that on the minimap that I just missed? I don't know if that was lucky or what, or if he knew that there were more heroes here, but this Tombstone, pretty good. It's right next to these guys, so AM can blink away soon, but Axe is pretty much trapped here. Prioritize killing the AM as soon as they see that his blink is on cooldown. Maybe it's because it's Sammy Boy. He's finished up his Meteor Hammer. Meteor Hammer is cheaper now, and the build-up feels like okay. I kind of liked the previous build-up more, but that's because I played it a Treant Protector, and I think for that hero in particular, it worked out. Whereas I think a lot of other people who want to possibly buy Meteor Hammer, especially cores, this new build-up is better, and in the end, it's just cheaper. So, like, it is about the same price as the 4-staff and a Glimmer. It's, like, slightly more expensive. So if you can identify a use for it, I think it's, like, not that bad. But it's interesting on an Undying, because Undying doesn't have a way to combo with it. Usually you get it on heroes like Treant Protector, people who can stun for the amount of time, stun or root or whatever, for the amount of time needed for Meteor Hammer to actually fall. But I like it as a tower damaging item this game. Let's see how he uses it now that he has it. So, okay. This is actually interesting to me, because this is something I struggle with, where like I drop a sentry on a high ground and I see there's a ward there, but a fight is breaking out. And I'm like, if I don't take out this ward right now, I'm not going to have vision to do it later. And I'll have to commit something else up here, like a ward up there, or a second sentry, and that doesn't feel good. But there's a fight going on, so do I take 5 seconds 5 too many. Like 3 seconds to do my slow auto attacks on 2 wards up here, or do I go to the fight? Looks like DuBu is taking out at least one of them. Maybe backed off because the axe showed up. And he took out the ward, so he removed their vision and then left, as opposed to taking out the sentry, and then they would still have vision here as he leaves. So looks like he only cared enough to do the vision. He didn't feel the need to get both. Possibly because he has the ward on the high ground, so he knows he can go back for it later. So he just wants to remove their vision, which is contributing to the fight. You know, if they don't have vision, they won't feel confident to continue fighting in that area. Chooses the cast range talent at level 11. So it looks like he maxed out. I'll be honest, I wasn't paying attention to the skill build. Let's take a look real quick what he did. Oops, not this. Here. So he maxed Soul Rip first, and then got Tombstone. So his 2 talents are what? Health regen and cast range. So I like cast range in general more. Plus, that works out for his Meteor Hammer, so we can cast it from further away. Doesn't really need the health regen, because 5 health regen is what his talent would have been, and he has 6.5 from the Meteor Hammer plus his heal. And then he also has like a tiny amount from the Bracer. So the cast range talent, I think, is a good one. And then he valued getting the Tombstone to level 4 first, and I think that also makes sense. Like, the cast range isn't a massive game-changing ability for an Undying, I think. Because Undying wants to be playing in the middle of the fight anyways, so he's probably in range to do what he needs. I see most people leave Decay at level 1. I think these 2 abilities make sense to max first. Soul Rip, because it's pretty good in the laning stage. And then Tombstone, because you want to get into team fights, and Tombstone's really good in team fights. Whoa, this is so exciting. Oh, you just talk too much and then you need to yawn. I gotta breathe. They smoked up here. Gonna find AM. Their Void Spirit bought a Orchid so that they can actually kill AM. He's still quite a way off of his Manta, so as long as they silence him first, he's probably dead. As long as they have like 1 or 2 heroes. They know Lena's here. Might be looking for the kill. I don't think we've seen DuBu use the Meteor Hammer yet. Looks like they're about to start pushing this tier 2 down here, though, so let's see. Queues up a Scythe. So we already talked about that he doesn't feel he needs like any of the others, maybe. Like Glimmer, Forestaff, Ghost Scepter. None of them feel like they're a necessary item. But the Scythe will help them kill AM. And AM is technically how they lose. So Timbersaw and Void Spirit can be very good early to mid game, and then Spectre is their late game. The way the enemy team wins is that Lena is pretty good early, mid, and honestly, she's pretty good late too. Whereas AM is like weak early, but actually in the mid game is when he starts to pick up if given enough space. And usually AM's goal, like AM is actually good against Spectre because AM tries to win at like the 40-minute mark, 35 to 40. And that's like after that is when Spectre actually usually starts to like really win games at like the 45+ minute mark. So their timing is the enemy team, the Radiant, this lineup, their timing is this 40 to 45 minute mark, and it heavily relies on AM. And so I like the Scythe as a way to identify, like, I don't really need these other items, and really the way I lose this game is this AM that we don't have that much lockdown for. Let me buy a Scythe. And like we talked about, a good, like an AM player at this rank will almost never get hit by Atos. Like you've seen Arteezy dodge like Echo slams with a Manta. You think they're going to get hit by an Atos when he can just press E? I think not. You have to know that is on cooldown or like surprise him in some extreme way. But Scythe can't dodge that. Ooh, okay, first use. Let's see it. It looks like he was using it to try to chain stun off of this Aether. Ends up not actually connecting on anything, but looks like he was trying to combo it with the Void Spirit. They are rocking this fight. I mean, they are pretty ahead right now. Spectre, I think, does actually add a bit more early game than an AM because she can haunt into fights. Whereas AM will just kind of be on his own the whole time. He's now running top. So this is a bit more focused on just like Undying gameplay as opposed to trying to figure out their whole team's game plan. To be honest, it's hard for me to keep track of all of it at once. So that's why I wasn't necessarily talking about like where they should be going all the time. Looks like he's coming bottom because I think he identified he wasn't needed top and then came bottom, but a little too late. Not that I don't know. I don't think he could have changed anything to a 4-man gank on Void Spirit. But he's going to get the rune here. Changes to a Glimmer Cape. So I do think Glimmer offers... It's cheaper than a Scythe by quite a lot. And it gives his team invisibility. It gives his team, a bit of protection from Lina. Using his Meteor Hammer for wave clear here. Doesn't have a neutral item still. His team's finally picking up some of the others. I wonder what he'll take. Meteor Hammer for wave clear. Buys the full... Is this a bug? Does he still not have one? Or is it just because they just got them and he hasn't selected? Can I see what they have? I can. So he should definitely take one of these in my opinion. Puts both wards on the cliff. Usually I feel this is bad. Why did he want to do this? So let's slow down. Puts a sentry and the ward. I mean, seeing this part of the map is quite nice. But... Oh, they're smoking right now. So then, in that case, I think putting it on this cliff could potentially bait out a support to come here. Like, they see the sentry get dewarded, and they also notice that he... No, actually, they wouldn't notice. If it's just a sentry, they wouldn't see the ward. But if a support's paying attention, they might see that this gets dewarded, and they might then come to deward it in turn, which would be perfect for them to get a kill in the smoke right now. But it also helps to give them vision for this smoke, to see if anyone comes to farm here, or passes through here, or if a big fight breaks out and they slowly back up through here, like they already have the vision pre-placed. So maybe that's why he put it on the cliff right now, because his team wants to play aggressive, and they'll be able to protect this cliff ward. Whereas if his team was playing defensively and they put it there, then I think he would quickly lose that. Let's try to take note. He placed it at around 22 minutes. Let's see how long that lasts. I'm going to kill Axe. I feel like we've watched Axe die a lot this game. His team keeps finding him. Where is he? Yeah, 8 deaths. That's rough. Glimmers as he walks up high ground. In case anyone's there. Dewarding this. Meteor Hammer the top lane to start pushing it out. Okay. Tombstone in here to make it possible to do Roche. Their team's not amazing at doing Roche, so I think you do have to commit these kind of things. Wave clear again. Never upgraded stick, and if you look at his inventory, it kind of makes sense because he very quickly has to swap it out for other stuff. If his raindrops were dead, which, by the way, let's point out his raindrops are not dead, and it's at 23 minutes now. If his raindrops were dead, he would have a slot for a stick, but at this point of the game, he's already saving up for like a scythe, and whichever item he buys, a Void Stone, an Ultimate Orb, or a Mystic Staff, all of these, to me, would replace the wand. Now, alternatively, he could have not bought the Bracer and bought a wand instead. And that would be okay in terms of slots. But if you think about it, I might try this, where I kind of like the idea of leaving it at a magic stick and then getting a Bracer instead. Because from a magic stick to a wand, that's 250 gold, and you can store 10 more charges, but you also get 3 stats. Whereas a Bracer, if you use that 250 to the Bracer, and then it's only another 260 gold after that, you're actually getting like way more strength, 2 more than the 3 stats, but you still have 2 in all the others. You have a bit of damage and you have a health. I wonder if that's worth it. I don't know. I'm not sure. After saying it out, I kind of decided, I don't think it's worth it. I think I would rather just leave it at a magic stick. But I mean, DuBu thought it was good. Maybe we'll have to watch another DuBu game and see if he does it on his other supports. Or maybe we'll have to watch another Undying game and see if, like, he does it on Undying a lot. Or if anyone else does it on Undying. TP's top to kill... Sorry, we were speeding up along too fast there. Okay, so... TP's top because his Undying found Axe. And I'm not sure they can kill Axe. Well, he could probably kill him on his own. But I guess you can't really do anything here anyway, so maybe TP top get the kill, and that lets you do more. So he TP top, and then he's immediately running back to his team. He's going to come push out mid a bit. But he wants to rejoin with his team. I was going to say, oh, he's not using Meteor Hammer because the Centaur would stomp him and lose it. And then immediately he starts using Meteor Hammer, and the Centaur just walks away. I think if the Enchanters had been paying attention, they might have used Stomp on him. Are they going to defend top? He's looking at it. His team's running there, though, so it's not necessary. He doesn't have to go right now. He did eventually get a neutral item in the Clumsy Net. I think that's good. One, having more lockdown, and something to sort of set up Meteor Hammer. You really need lockdown for AM. And even though Clumsy Net is pretty much as slow as Atos, Clumsy Net's free, whereas Atos is 3,000. So it's like, if you want to take the risk and try to use a Clumsy Net, it's like, okay, whatever. Plus, I need to check this actually. I think if you use Clumsy Net on AM, does he just root himself when he self-casts it back at you? Because that would be pretty dope. I actually don't know that. There's a lot of small interactions like this stuff where I don't know. I'm going to have to look that up later. But that would be pretty good. That would put Clumsy Net on par with, like, Duel. Actually, as I say that, I feel like I did think of this before and I tested it. But now I can't remember what the results were. I'll look into that after this. Maybe I'll clip it in. Or maybe I won't. Good to know. You do root yourself. Looks like they're gonna win this. I mean, they're 20k up. So, as we watch the rest of this game play out, I'm trying to debate, like, is Meteor Hammer legitimately good in more cases than this? Or is it just because his team had, like, literally no good tower takers? Like, what impact from the Meteor Hammer did we feel? We saw him use it to push... Sorry. We saw him use it to push several lanes. I don't think it had a significant impact in most of the team fights that I've seen. It seems like it's been more about pushing lanes and keeping up mana regen. And he's tried to use it in team fights, but, like, it hasn't... I haven't seen it make, like, a massive impact. Checking these cliffs. Leaves it so that they hopefully won't know. When you're able to do that, I think it can be okay to place the ward on the high ground. Because you're kind of banking on the fact that they won't check it again. They know AM's up here. So he's pinging back here. He's saying, like, AM is going to cut this. And he's pinging it as if to set up. But looks like they decide to just go forward. And a Spectre thing did spawn up there, so I think he was there. Yep, there he is again. Comes out. DuBu even checked. That's what AM should do. Is exactly what DuBu pinged. That AM should go into the forest, wait it out, and then cut the lane. What are they doing? They're just going straight bottom where AM is not cutting the lane. And we'll see AM's making his way over to start cutting this lane. This is what you have to do as anti-mage. Like, we're watching Undying, but for any of you that play core, or you're like, why is my anti-mage, like, so bad? It's because oftentimes most lower skill anti-mages don't do things like this, where they're cutting all the waves. At this point, it's a little too late. I think you've already lost, but I mean, you still kind of have to do that sort of stuff. Let's slow down. Let's watch the... this is probably one of the last fights of this game, so let's see how he's playing it out. Staying in the back, even though he's a frontliner. I think I mentioned this somewhere before. It was an ogre, though, where he already has frontliners. Timbersaw is a frontliner, and Spectre is actually a frontliner, too, even though she's a carry. Because she's such a tanky hero, she tends to actually be a frontliner. So he's staying back because he has the Glimmer Cape, which is their save, one of their saves at least, and he also has the heal. So he doesn't want to get caught in with all of them through like some chain combo of Earthshake or something. He wants to be in the back and be able to use Glimmer, Tombstone, heal, throw out the decay, maybe drop the Meteor Hammer to try to deter the enemy team from continuing. So he wants to be in the back, even though Undying is usually a frontlining hero. He has adjusted for this game. And now he is able to Glimmer his teammate because he didn't get caught in the Echo. He's also able to heal the Rubik. Doesn't feel like he needs to save it. It's only 6 seconds, so I think he's just throwing it out to save his buddy. And no one else was really low. They're all pretty tanky. See how he's using Meteor Hammer to get 2 buildings at once. Just some slight efficiency stuff. And he doesn't have to be worried. Like, when he was doing that, it was technically a bad position. But the Earthshaker's dead. And the other guy's also not going to make it in time to do anything. Because the game's kind of won at this point. They only had to be worried about, like, getting Echo comboed into a team wipe. And even then, they haven't, like, lost. It's just... like, they're starting to lose some of their huge lead. And because that one thing got removed, it's now like, whatever, let's just get in there. If you wanted to play very safe and conservatively, you still wouldn't do it. But you know when you kind of, like, know a game is done, you just, like, do some less smart stuff, and it's okay. All right. I think we learned a bit about playing Undying. Playing really aggressively. Meteor Hammer could be a consideration for Undying in certain lineups. Using it to farm a bit. I don't know if this is quite necessary. You could probably just use it on this. Tombstone. Placed so that anyone around this edge would start getting hit by zombies. That means none of them can ever blink in. And it also means you see them whenever they try to come in. It's kind of a way to just secure the closing. But also lets you fountain dive like this if you really want to. He's stuck here. That's funny. Glimmers because they don't have detection. He just decides to run in here. He's pretty tanky. He's gonna die for it. Oh, let's pay attention to his talents real quick. Chose the Tombstone zombie damage. I think that's probably normal. I don't know enough about Undying, to be honest. Let's take a look at some Undying stats after this, actually, once this game's over, and then we can compare. Dire victory. DuBu did it. All right, let's take a look at what Undying's... oh, right here. So, looks like that's pretty typical of Undying's, is to take all these talents. The cast range, zombie, tombstone, and reincarnation. I think all of that is fine. Yeah, so we got to see a rank 22 player play Undying. What do we learn? Play really aggressively in the laning stage, even when you don't have a ton of health. I will clarify that was against 2 melee strength heroes, which means anytime they go on him, he's going to get 8 decay stacks when he double decays them, which is going to boost his health significantly even when he's low and significantly weaken them. Whereas if he was against someone like Lina, like a Lina 4 plus Axe, I don't think he would have played as aggressively because Lina can chip him away at range, and she won't be next to Axe to get double decayed. She has a stun, which means like as he gets low, she can stun him, and maybe they can burst him down before he can use decay or to soul rip himself. So I think part of his extreme aggression was because there was an Axe and an Earthshaker. Something we're going to be paying attention to, and that I pay attention to in general, is when people choose to start Magic Stick. I'm still of the opinion that Magic Stick, like, I don't know if it was worth it this game to get a Magic Stick. It felt weird to me. He got like 10 charges out of it that I remember in like the early laning stage. And it was like all from Axe casting Battle Hunger. I don't know. We'll have to keep more. We'll keep paying attention to it, and maybe I'll shift my views on Magic Stick. Everything else seemed pretty standard. He wasn't able to pull as much, but we talked about that. It was against 2 strength heroes, so I think he had to play aggressive. I'm just kind of like recapping the game. Like, we tried to get lessons during the game, but then it's like, okay, let's try to remember them. You know, don't just see it and forget. His itemization was pretty cool, so I'm going to be paying attention, and I have been, to when people buy Meteor Hammer. I like this item a lot. I think it's really funny. So any excuse to like buy it more, I like. But I do think it was a little specific to this game, where his team did not have good tower push, and his hero does not have good lane push. And I think like all of those align. And the fact that he didn't need any other support item. So it was like those 3 things aligned. No other support item was necessary. His hero didn't have good pushing ability, which happens every game as an Undying. And his team does not have good tower taking ability. Sorry, I'm like burping a ton here. His team does not have good tower taking ability. And so I think it took those 3 things for him to buy Meteor Hammer. I'm saying this until like I see another Undying game and it's like perfect tower takers and everything, and he still gets it. Who knows? But that's my theory on why he got it. I'm also intrigued by the Bracer. I guess it was okay in the end. I mean, he won, obviously. I wonder like how much different it would have been if he didn't get the Bracer, though. Ended up just keeping at Brown Boots. Undying doesn't really need to get Tranquils. Doesn't really care about the health that much because he has a heal. But also chose not to get Arcane Boots. So he is a hero that would have liked mana, but he didn't feel the need to get Arcanes. Arcanes are a bit greedy for a position 5. He wasn't getting Greaves this game, so he like doesn't need to have Arcanes. And if I recall, Rubik had Arcane Boots before turning them into Aether Lens and Boots of Travel. And I suspect Timbersaw probably also had Arcane Boots before turning it into a Bloodstone. So maybe he also felt like, you know, we have enough Arcanes. We even have this Arcane Ring. Like, what do I need? What do I need a 3rd set for? So let me just leave him at Brown Boots and go for this Meteor Hammer. Okay, I think that's it for this video. Ended up at an hour, a little longer than I had imagined when I saw it was a 32-minute game, but I guess that makes sense because I paused and talked. Let me know what you guys think of this. If you'd like to see us look at more pros play, I think it will be something I do anyways, but like if you want even more of that, let me know. Yeah. Thanks for watching. See you around.